All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Stock Analysis Friday on this May 30th, 2025. Great to have you here. All right, so just a quick review of what Stock Analysis Friday is all about. Well, first of all, we're here to look at either stocks or ETFs that are of interest to you. That's one of the key things we do. I am going to cover the markets a little bit and go over that. So we'll hit that in the beginning. And then also too, when you type in stocks, use it, go ahead and type them in the comments area and type them in caps and do about 3 at a time. And that way it keeps the flow going. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. I got a few administrational items to cover first, of course, and that includes the risks involved in trading the financial markets. We want you to be aware of those risks. There are risks anytime you go into the markets, whether you're just investing or actually actively trading those markets. Since I'm going to be analyzing stocks for you today and giving you my opinions based on my over 30 years of trading the financial markets, I'm also going to be using software I created to do that here at traderscoach.com. And so we want you to make sure anything we suggest you run by your financial advisor to be sure it's suitable for you. I don't know your personal situation. They certainly should. Also, too, past performance does not guarantee future performance. And since we deal in a realm of probabilities, you need to use strict risk control on each and every trade and always trade with money you can afford to risk, called risk capital. When it comes to risk control, I've written a few books on that. If you need help, it's in the money management era here. And those are listed in front of you. I'm going to put a link in the recording where you can access these books on our Amazon page. Or if you want to go there now, just go ahead and go to our website and you can see how to access it under books. All right, so I've written 2 on money management. My latest book, The Art of Trading, published by Wiley. I wrote this year, it just came out. Reviews are really good on it. It's a pretty comprehensive book. I think it's the best book I've written to date. It's about 608 pages, so it's a big read, but it's extremely comprehensive. So if you want to learn how to trade, that's the place to go. All right, Elliott Wave Technique Simplified is another form of technical analysis I like and became an expert on, and that is published. I wrote that for McGraw-Hill, so that's out there as well. And then finally, The Survival Guide for Traders, another book I published for Wiley. So again, I'll put the link on the bottom there for you. If you're interested in any of the software you see me use today, you can go to the website there, our website as well. I've got a number of websites devoted to this software. It's called the Applied Reality Trading or ART system, and it consists of charting software, scanners, and risk control software. So you can check that out on your own. All right, so give us a like. All right, always helps the channel. And I'm going to just show this quick chart from one of our subscription services called the More or Market Opportunity Report that I put out every Sunday. All right, so I want to just quickly go over this and give you a little review on some of the things we are keeping an eye on here with the Dow. Now, of course, there's many different markets, you know, the NASDAQ, and we can take a look at that if you want, but they're pretty much it's similar in that we had a high here back earlier this year, the beginning of the year. And we had kind of an inverted head and shoulders. So we had a shoulder here, okay? We had a shoulder here and then head down here, and the shoulders represented the double top. And then from there, we moved quickly down, all right, and hit this area basically represented by the gray colored box here or zone. And this was a structure area created over here back in May of 2024. So it found some resistance there, popped up, and now we hit another structured area here that was created on the way down. and we hit a little resistance and we're pulling back here as well. So right now, the market is kind of in an area here where once it retraces 50% here, then we'll have to see what it's going to do. We call that a point of inflection. Are we going to bounce off and make another high, or are we going to go through that inflection point and perhaps go below the support created in April of 36,611.78? And so we'll have to wait and see what the market does on this. So we're kind of hanging right now, anticipating certain levels that the market may get to depending on its action. So I'm hoping we'll go down here, bounce off and create one more high. If we go below this, of course, then we'll keep an eye on this level, 32,327.20. My speculation here is if it does go below here, it may still not go below here. So we'll have to wait and see again when we get to that level. One of our indicators that does have a 75% accuracy is this one down here. And basically this is called the PTF, stands for Precision Trend Filter. It has a 75% accuracy rate, and it is flashing red right now. And the way you use that is when it's red, just find the lowest low in that red area. And there's a 75% chance of the market at some point returning and taking that out. So that's kind of interesting. So that makes me lean a little bit towards the bearish side. So I've got to keep an eye on that. What's interesting on a lot of the stocks, for example, like Tesla, Nvidia, those stocks to me look like they're poised to make another high pretty soon. So that indicates to me if those big stocks are going to make a high, chances are the markets will too. So this PTF may be correct, but not until later. So we're going to have to pay attention for that. But anyway, I just wanted to run that by you. We're still in pretty lofty levels. And this wave 5 target, by the way, I didn't cover that yet. This is an Elliott wave target zone that was created based off the bullish market we've been in for quite some time, since back in 2009. And so we're keeping an eye on that. We did reach the target. So we're in a position for a top here, but we may get one more high before that top has completed, or maybe not. And we're going to keep an eye on this major support level, because if we go below that, then the chances are we're in a bear market. So if you want to keep up to date on this, we do a more thorough job with the More report. We go into all the NASDAQ and the S&P, and then we have stock picks as well. You can subscribe to that. It's not an expensive service, but it is very thorough. And I do a report every Sunday as well as a video. So just keep that in mind if you're interested in keeping tabs on the market itself. All right. I do want to cover, before we get going, Bitcoin here. All right. So let's do that. Let me just start putting some messages up there. Gene's here. Welcome, everybody. And yes, I ditto that. All right. So Bitcoin here, our target for Bitcoin is 129,770 up to 164,213. And we arrived at that target based off a fib extension, drawing it on the primary Elliott wave counts. So we're kind of on our way up there. As if you've been with us for a while, you certainly know that we recommended buying in this area because this was a fib retracement area for a wave 4. So something like this, 3, 4, 5. Not very good penmanship, but you get the idea. All right, so this is the target up here. All right, so we do think we have a green PTF, some more highs coming. We do have bearish divergence building since we took out this high here. So if I didn't have that green PTF, I'd be a little bit more apt to take some profits when we cross that trend line here. But we still have an active primary pyramid trading point, which is part of the ART system. So we'd have our stop under here, which gives it plenty of room for the zig and the zag, the breath and the exhale of the market. So we should get up into that target. Now, when we get to the target, this is a sell zone, okay? So we're going to keep an eye on for a reverse in the mood of the market based for Bitcoin and a possible move to the downside. Quite extensive after that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're seeing bearish divergence also on the weekly chart on the far right. So this is our weekly chart. This is our daily chart. and we are above major trend lines here. We got bearish divergence, but again, we feel that we're not quite at the top of Bitcoin. So that's just like to cover that because everybody asks about Bitcoin. All right, let's go ahead and get going here. And our first person here up is Stu. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. Nope, I missed Ed here. Hey, Ed, how are you? All right, so Ed is currently long COHR. COHR. Let's take a look at that one and see 20% profits in all of them. Sure, good, excellent. So now we want to make sure we keep those profits, right? All right, so give that a second to load, and there we go. All right, so we got to move off the bottom. It came down into the 40s, and it did that in the spring, right? April, just a few months ago. All right, and now it's popped back up. And so let's see the bigger picture on this here is we've got a high here, a high here. Kind of a messy market a little bit, Ed, all right? Not a very, very clear market on the Elliott wave count here. So if you're up 20% on this, I have to be honest with you, what I would do with this, unless you know the fundamentals on this company are extremely strong and good, I would draw a trend line, maybe on this weekly chart right now, and keep an eye on that or put your stop right here at the bottom under there. I mean, you've had this pyramid was taken out, so this would have been an exit for us. We have no green PTFs. And so the only concern here is we go down again. Now, could we go up? Sure, always a possibility. So if you give this a little more room to see if that happens, you can certainly do that. But it's not my favorite stock, okay, in terms of a technical look at it. Let's take a look at your next one, APP. I would kind of protect the profit on that one, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you on that. So give APP a second to load here. Okay, so this one, if you look at the weekly chart and the daily chart, what pops out at you? Right away, it's the green PTF indicator, right? That's here and here. So that's a very bullish sign. So this one you can keep and not worry about it like the other one. So you should make a new all-time high above 500 here, or actually 550 maybe. So I'm not concerned on this one since it's a clear count. Now, with that said, let's just check a few things to make sure that we have some type of bottom in here. Okay, so bottom here, here. All right, so I just want to make sure we hit this fib extension, and we certainly did there. And even if we drew it from here up, you still are there. Okay, so that's a good sign. 3, 4. This was a buy zone in here. So I would keep this one. If you're going to use a stop, I would put it way down here, quite a ways. Give it a bit of a movement. So when I have a chart that makes sense here in terms of our indicators, I give these stops a little more room. And in a case like this, you technically don't have bearish divergence. Really, you had it here, but you don't have it between here and here yet. And so I would hold on to this one. I think you're okay on this one. All right. I do not recommend it necessarily for new people because it's jumped up so much and we may get a pullback back in below 350 before it resumes to the upside at some point. All right. Let's take a look at your next one, CRDO. Okay. And I'm going to ask everybody if they keep their picks to 3. Okay. Ed, I'm going to do your 4 here. No problem with that, but it just keeps it flowing pretty quickly. All right, so CRDO, let's see what we're going on here. All right, once again, green PTF jumps out at me, and this looks pretty good. We had a nice move up here. Looks like to me we completed wave 4 on the weekly chart, so that should be a major bottom down here. Looks like an A, B, C correction, and we should take out that high at some point. So again, like the other one, I would sit back and give this one some room. You should have more highs at some point. And we're seeing this a lot in a lot of the markets right now. So when you see this kind of market participation in individual stocks, it lends me to believe that the market will make another high overall. That's the indexes I'm talking about. All right, let's take a look at your next one here, MRVL. And this one's a different story. Okay, so if you got 20% in this one, I would take it. All right, we've just broke the trend line here. All right, we've got a red PTF on both time frames. And so that looks like it's going to take out the 45 bottom. So I would kind of leave at this point. So I would exit that trade. All right, hopefully that helped you. All right, thank you. All right, let's keep moving on here. And we're back to Stuart. Stuart, how are you? Little MU there for Micron Technologies. Let's see what we're going here. So Stuart, I don't know if you're going to be long, if you're looking at long positions or if you're in positions. You're probably looking at long, knowing you. And you're probably maybe in them or thinking of them. I'm not sure there. But in any case, let's take a look here. All right, so we've got a situation where now we just had a green PTF that went neutral. So you had another high on this price bar, which took out the high previously marked by the PTF. So that did its job on that one, but it wasn't very much of a high. We had tremendous support down here in terms of structure, right? So we bounced off that bottom. Whenever you analyze a stock, I don't care what time frame it is, always look at the context of what price is doing and use different time frames. Start at the time frame you're interested in, go out longer and see what's happening on the big picture, technically speaking, of a stock. And we had support here that helped. And that support was way back in 2023. So again, old support is important, and we bounced off this. So now where are we headed with this one? Are we going to make a new high, or are we just going to kind of be bracketed? All right, so we've got a big move up here. We don't have any PTF help here. We had to bounce off here. We're hitting a little bit of resistance here. And again, if you draw the resistance here, you can certainly see right around this area here from when it moved down, we were kind of in that resistance area. So we may get a little bit of a pullback here. I'm not going to recommend this one for anybody simply because it's not jumping out to me as super clear. And we could waffle here for quite some time. So I don't think it's one of my favorites, okay? Let's go on to YETI, Yeti. Give that a second to load over there, and then we'll take a look at UTHR. All right, so Yeti here, still kind of moving a little bit down. Let's open this up a little bit. Okay, so we had a little bit of a bounce here. Again, if you go back to previous structure here, kind of bouncing off there. Let's see what we got here. That was liquidity there, took that out, getting a little bounce off here. We got a little bit of bullish divergence, so that's good there. No PTF. PTFs are neutral, so there aren't any help to us now. So the next question is where this is going. And at this particular point, I would say if this is a double bottom, we should move off this bottom. I think it may be a little too early to get in yet. It really hasn't proven itself to get out. And let's take a look at what it needs to do in terms of the way I look at stuff for you to have that proof. Well, first of all, we have a bearish pyramid that's still active with a base leg here. So we need to get above that base leg, technically speaking, for a more dramatic change in structure. All right, so we got a change in structure here, but we don't have a break in structure yet. Okay, it's called the boss. So let's give that a little bit more time and see what happens. So bring this one back next week, and we'll see if it's any more further along. All right, let's take a look at UTHR. Part of doing well in this business is trying to look for trades that are like A-plus trades. They jump out at you. They're easy to see. You don't want to get stuck in trades that are marginal. You're better off not taking the trade. All right, let's see what we got here and see what's going on here. All right, first of all, one of the things we always want to make is when we had a new top here, all right, is this the top or is this a temporary top? And we use the owl to help us with that. When the owl's the highest on that top, we don't have bearish divergence, right? So that's kind of a key element right there to look at. So that usually is an indication that any pullback will be just that. And then we get another high. So we've had that point of inception or fib retracement there. That held, bounced off there. We're getting entries here, and look at down here, a green PTF. So this is one I like, and I would recommend this one because you're getting in fairly early and you want to put your stop. I would give this room. The thing about getting in early on stocks is usually once they pop up, they have a fairly big pullback, and then they go again. Sometimes those pullbacks are deep enough to form a double bottom. In this case, I don't think you're going to get that on this. We had a pretty big pullback here. I put your stop right there, okay? And honestly, the take profit area is up here, okay? So that's quite a significant move. So I'm thinking I'm liking that, and that is a good one. Okay, thanks, Stuart. So we'll put that on the recommended list for this week. All right, let's keep going here. Ed, my pleasure. Great to have you here. All right, Stu is back with WBD. Let's see what we got here. Give that a second to load. So I just downloaded the latest NinjaTrader platform, and seems to be working okay. All right. So I think we're all right with that. If you're using our software, you can certainly download that as well. I think it's the 5. I'm not sure exactly what the number was. All right. So what stands out at you right away? This is what I love about our indicators. Green PTF, right? So that's indicating we should eventually get more highs. What the PTF doesn't tell you is what the price action is going to be while we move up to those highs. So you could get zigzagging. It could take a while. It may pull back a little bit. So the PTF doesn't tell you that, but it does tell you there's a 75% probability we'll get above the highest price in that PTF area. And I find that extremely helpful. And many people buy those in our indicators package for that PTF. So it's really helpful. All right, so we got green PTFs, which are our price action model for entering trade. So we'd be long here with stops under here. We've got a little bit of red owl here. So we're getting in pretty early, but you might have a double bottom here, okay, on the weekly chart. And so I'm going to put this one down as a buy. All right, I do like this one. And this would be one that you're probably going to have to hold for a while. All right, we're looking at a top of only 1250. So we got risk to reward, I think, is decent enough to take. So I'm liking that. Okay, so WBD is a buy for everyone. Okay, thanks, Stu. All right, let's take a look at PARA. Give that a second to load there. All right, this is another one bouncing off a potential bottom here. PTFs are yellow, so those aren't helping us right here. So now we have to make sure the price action is pretty good. Okay, so that you're definitely getting in at a favorable price in terms of, if we go back to 2009, for God's sakes, okay? This is a great one for buy and hold not working. So a lot of traders will look at charts like this and go, see, if you bought and hold with this one, you'd be right back to where you started 15 years later. All right. But if you're trading, of course, you would have been out here. So those are kind of funny when they do that. But in any case, a little bit of truth there. This is kind of an interesting, what a spike this one had here. Look at this, way up here on that weekly chart. My gosh, I don't know what caused that, but something did. But now then it fell back down and even made new lows. So, woo. Okay, so not a great one, and I'll tell you why for a trading point of view. Look at these swings. Even though we can draw a trend line, But even though you have these swings, it's pretty volatile within, it's a wide channel. So if you actually drew a channel marking this, I don't like these, okay? So if I drew a channel here and here, I mean, yes, it's moving up, but that is a huge channel based on this low price stock. It's like 50% of the stock moving up and down. So if you bought this, I would make this a longer term play, focusing on the double bottom here and here, and basically put your stop at the bottom since you're getting in so early. And hopefully that will move back up. Okay. That's about the only way I would play that. I don't like to really move in hopes. So I don't think I would take that trade. I wouldn't classify that as necessarily an A+ trade. A little early for the weekly chart to give us a really good entry. So I think I'd hold off on that one. Okay. But I see why you're looking at it. CVS. Give this a second to load here. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so we looked at CVS last time, and the concern was that, the concern was here, we moved down, we'd move up, and then hit this target range here, which it did, okay? So now, you know, is this going to be a double bottom, or are we going to go back down? And so I guess that's the major concern when we were looking at this, is that if we were going to take a long trade at the bottom, our first target would have been in here to see what was going to happen with this market. And it has pulled down. So I'm going to open this weekly chart up here because it's a little clearer. And notice here we have structure, okay, like an order block. So your stop really on this one needs to be below that. However, we do have some additional information here in the form of fair value gaps here and here. So that is that usually when you get a fair value gap forming early on here, that is a very bullish indication that the move is in a new trend. So that's pretty decent stuff, especially after that huge move off the order block. So I'm kind of liking this one in terms of it having stability. So it came down here. The way I would work this one, I'm actually bullish on this one, not bearish. However, I would wait until this indicator called the OWL, which stands for the optimum wave locator, and it's measuring momentum in the market. I would wait for that to turn bullish to make sure this pullback is over. And so that's where I would put this. So out of this one, I guess I would hold off a little bit. If you're already in it, fine. Your stop's going to be way down here, and you should be fine on that if this thing is a bullish move. But if you're new, I would wait for that OWL at this point to turn green, just in case you might be able to get a better price if it comes down a little lower. So let's put that on the watch list for next week, okay? All right, so keep an eye on that. All right, so you've got a fourth one here, IN. So much for my rule of 3, right? All right, so let's take a look at IN here. Give that a second to load. You may be meaning that you're in these looking to add. I'm not sure. I don't think you're looking at this one. This one's a no-go. I think I might have read that one. Okay. Anyway, cool. All right. Al, let's go to you. CAH. And give that a second. If you're considering IN, don't. Looks like it probably was bought out or something. All right, let's take a look at this one. All right, so Al, if you're long, you're in great shape. Stay long. If you're thinking about going long, wait for a pullback. All right, you'd be chasing the market up here. The risk is a pullback. You know, you could pull back quite a bit before it resumes its uptrend. So it's always better to get in early versus chase the market. And so I would put this under the classification of chasing the market at this point. You know, get in here. Here it's pretty easy to see based on the pyramid there. Here it's a little too late. Now, with that said, this is a very strong owl. So this uptrend's not over, but I just don't want you to get caught in a profit-taking, aggressive profit-taking drawback. Wait for that to happen. And when you see that happen, then you'll be able to get in at a much better price, okay? But I get it. Let's take a look at target here, TGT. Give that a second to load. All right, so on this one here, you've got a red PTF on both time frames, so no long trade on that. This is where you got to have the right tools, right? Okay, it's really important when you analyze a market from a technical standpoint is not to be throwing darts, right? So you want to be able to make sure you have tools that are giving you information that are going to make the process of analyzing the trade much easier. And that's where the art software shines. So in a case like this here, we have an immediate look at the red PTF, and that's a no-go for a long position. If anything, you might want to take a short scalp, but I'd even apply that on some of the 60-minute time frames to justify that. Okay, so no-go on that one. All right, Al is back with PLTR. This one we've looked at before, of course. So I'm not sure if we're still in that one, but let's take a look at what we got cooking. All right, so this one, you know, I think basically we looked at this before. We put a target range of 136, 131 to 173, longer term, maybe a little higher. So we're in that target now. All right, so I think it's too late to go long. All right, here's the kind of pullback that I think is going to happen on that other one. See, if you'd gotten in here and I said go long here, then look what happened. Boom. So you're better not to chase the market. Wait until you got a pullback. Now we're made a new high and we're right at the target zone. So that would be chasing the market again. So no go on that. We're still in wave 3 on the weekly chart. So we still got a major wave 4 out there somewhere after we top out at this target. Now this target, you know, we never know exactly where it's going to go. Yeah, we could do an analysis on some of the very short time frames to get a wave count in here. But basically, you know, sometimes it goes a little higher in the target, sometimes a little lower. So when you start hitting the target area, you should look for another opportunity. Okay. All right, let's go down to ETSY here, ETSY. See what we got cooking there. All right, so we're coming up on the 30 minutes. So we'll do one more here, or maybe this one will be the last one, and we'll see what we got cooking here. All right, ooh, ETSY. Now this one is looking interesting. All right, so PTF is green here, okay? And the price structure now has changed from a downtrend to an uptrend. So now I want to pay attention more than ever on that green PTF for a target. So you're talking quite substantial. I'm going to put this one down as a buy. This is a great one. All right, so we've got a price action structure entry here off the fractal pyramid, putting us long. We've got green, green hits all the boxes. This is green. We got bullish divergence like crazy on the owl. It's almost green. No more short position in effect. So this would have been a long short down here. All right. So in this case here, this is a buy. This is looking really good. Good job. All right. So ETSY is a long. All right, so that is it for today. Okay, so let me just go over the winners here again. We had UTHR, that's a winner. We had WBD, and then Etsy, ETSY. So we had 3 winners today, and we're going to keep an eye on CBS. Let's take a look at that next week. So bring that one back next week, and we'll keep an eye on that. It's not quite ready, but it may be in the next month or so. We'll see. Or sooner. We'll have to see. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. And we'll be back here next Friday. You guys have a great week as we enter the summer. All right. So thanks, everybody. Great job. And don't forget, give us a like. It helps the channel. And we'll see you next week.